So you heard that UEFA handed Manchester City a €30 million fine and banned them from competing in European competitions for the next 2 seasons. But how did they come to this decision? What exactly did City do wrong? Will they be able to contest the sentence? Is this linked to the leaks from the end of 2018? And what does it mean going forward? I'll explain that and more, as well as discuss some misconceptions regarding financial fair play. I'm Adrian, by the way. Hello? Hold up! Disclaimer, police are here. Remember, this is an ongoing matter. City are guilty in the eyes of UEFA, though this will be taken up by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, or CAS, or CAS, henceforth if I'm being lazy, and they will determine whether they are guilty or not. Me, you, no one really knows for sure whether they are guilty. We'll let the CAS determine that, but just as we can't say for sure that they are guilty, we can't say for sure that they are innocent either. Now, the Premier League did announce back in March that they have opened up an investigation into the club's alleged falsification of its sponsorship revenues, but since the UEFA announcement, the Premier League has not made any of their own announcements, so that won't be covered in this video, because there's nothing to cover. Besides a whole lot of potential avenues that they could be going down and a lot of speculation. All right, let's get started. We'll start with the statement made by the Independent Adjudicatory Chamber of the Club Financial Control Body, or the CFCB, of UEFA. Now keep this in mind, the only people who know the details of the investigation for sure are City's legal representatives, their board, and the UEFA investigators. UEFA have not given the details of the findings because City have the opportunity to appeal the decision. Cool? So, the statement reads, "The Adjudicatory Chamber, having considered all the evidence, has found that Manchester City Football Club committed serious breaches of the UEFA club licensing and financial fair play regulations by overstating its sponsorship revenue in its accounts and in the break-even information submitted to UEFA between 2012 and 2016. The Adjudicatory Chamber has also found that in breach of the regulations, the club failed to cooperate in the investigation of this case by the CFCB. The Adjudicatory Chamber has imposed disciplinary measures on Manchester City Football Club, directing that it shall be excluded from participation in UEFA club competitions in the next 2 seasons, i.e. the 2020-21 and 2021-22 seasons, and pay a fine of €30 million. The decision of the Adjudicatory Chamber is subject to appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, if Manchester City Football Club exercises that right. The full reasoned decision of the Adjudicatory Chamber will not be published prior to publication of the final award by the CAS." Before we go further, please try saying adjudicatory 5 times fast. I never want to see that word again in my life. So, why did UEFA start looking into this in the first place? Well, they actually investigated and punished City before, back in 2014, which I will go over a bit later. But for now, for this current charge against City from UEFA, the 2014 case was blown open again due to new information coming to the fore, likely via football leagues and Der Spiegel, towards the end of 2018. In essence, they were accused of inflating or overstating how much money they received from their sponsors, as well as falsifying the dates in which payments were received by said sponsors. Here's an example of what some of the emails allege has happened. "I'm Man City ownership." Hello. "And through the main man who owns the club, Sheikh Mansour, we have some close ties to some of our big sponsors. Now, of course, FFP regulations are in place so that a billionaire owner can't come in, bankroll a club, pull out of said club down the line, and leave them with bills that they can't pay and deficits that could destroy the club with too much debt. So to combat that spending beyond their means, the billionaire or trillionaire owners can't pump in any more money to make up for the losses that the club accrues." See what I'm saying? Because otherwise, clubs could just spend willy-nilly on whatever they want, and then their owner could just swoop in and save them with some money. But what happens if that owner goes away? Then this club takes on more and more debt, as clubs were doing back in 2011. And you get so many clubs doing that, and eventually the bubble will burst and just chaos financially. But you know who can save these clubs? Sponsors. Pulling in money from sponsors is a-okay, but when the owner has close ties to said sponsors, the lines get blurred. The leaked emails allege that through those close ties, City's ownership was giving money to the sponsors to then siphon back into the club and overpay the sponsorship fees, which is not allowed under FFP rules and would be considered fraud. Now, If you want the finer details of what those leaks alleged, I did a video on those leaks, which again, I even said a disclaimer in there that the entire video was under the umbrella of allegedly. In response to the leaks, City said that they were a, quote, organized and clear, end quote, smear campaign, and that the leaked documents were, quote, out of context materials purportedly hacked or stolen from City Football Group and Manchester City personnel and associated people, end quote. Which, what that says to me, this is my opinion here, is that they didn't say that they were fake documents, just that they were stolen and taken out of context. I will say, just some food for thought, Football Leaks has been proven accurate in many cases and has seemingly been taken out of context in others, so take what you will from that. But here's a fact. To this day, City hasn't denied the authenticity of the leaked emails and documents. So, following those leaks, UEFA responded by saying that they would be opening some older cases in regards to FFP, but didn't name names at that point. However, it's understood that City knew they were being investigated and expected this ruling eventually. These leaks came out back in November of 2018, so throughout 2019 you would assume that the adjudicatory chamber were going through with their investigations. Again, we don't know what proof or evidence they found, but UEFA believe they have enough evidence to prove City's wrongdoing, while City have vehemently denied any wrongdoing and state that they have irrefutable evidence to prove their innocence. Of course, they are yet to prove what this evidence is, which they will be saving for their court dates with CAS. So let's talk about how the CAS hearing is going to go. Basically, there will be 3 judges chosen from a shortlist to look over this case. 1 will be chosen by the CAS, 1 by Manchester City, and 1 by UEFA. So this will function as a normal hearing, and if there is a verdict by June that states that City is guilty and the ban is to be upheld or shortened to just 1 season, City will not be competing in European competitions for at least the 2020-21 season. However, if a verdict is not reached and the trial continues beyond June, then City will be allowed to participate in the next season of the Champions League while the case is ongoing. Question: what happens if the CAS claim that City are still guilty and City just won't accept it? Which is actually within the realm of possibility if you are to believe the emails that were leaked, which again, City have not denied the authenticity, because in one of them, a club representative said that they would spend whatever it takes to fight UEFA on this, spend whatever money it takes. But yeah, let's just say that they just won't accept the fine and the punishment, then they would have to sue UEFA through the Swiss legal system, according to Gab Marcotti. Now, as for the leaked documents, you'll find many people musing, hey, those documents are not admissible in court as they were potentially stolen, and stolen documents cannot be used in court. And you would be totally right most of the time, but as Gab Marcotti again brought up on the Gab and Jules podcast, this is not the court of law, so that rule is not applicable here, and as Marcotti said, UEFA have the right to ask City to go back and prove that these documents are fake at any time. They don't need to have a suspicion that City have done something that breaks the rules. They have the right to ask them to back it up and prove that the money came from a valid source, the money actually exists, and everything is accurate and by the book whenever they want, given that City are competing in UEFA's own competition. So in 2014, UEFA and City came to an agreement of a €60 million fine as well as restrictions on City's squad size amongst other punishments for FFP breaches. City were compliant, paid $20 million of their fine, and had $40 million of it suspended. Everyone moved on. So when the case was reopened, from City's point of view, they can say, hey, we had an agreement, we accepted punishment, you can't retroactively punish us again. But UEFA recently found out about the new information and believed that the information that they were dealing with back then was false. So I can sympathize with City fans. If these allegations all turn out to be true, it will be a horrible thing to come to grips with. Besides, in the 30s and I think the 60s, City had been an average top-flight club before the takeover, and look at what glory this brought them. I mean, a quadruple title-winning season? It's insane. But now, suddenly, it's as if you find out the boogeyman is real. FFP and its potential punishment just became very real, and unfortunately for City's fans, their club could be the first victim. And with the combined losses from European broadcasting rights, ticket sales, and much more, it could be devastating. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, then a like is always appreciated. And if you loved it and want more from me here at Rabona TV, then be sure to hit subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Adrian. I love ya, and take care.